Our next speaker is no stranger to most of you, I would say. It's Executive Director of EASA, Patrick Key. Patrick.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's also my pleasure to welcome all of you in this beautiful city of Prague. And I'm not sure we will have that much time to visit the city, but I already, by looking by the window from my room, I could feel the spirit of Prague, and I enjoy being here very much. You know, it's my last year as a director of EASA, so I will take the risk of sounding a bit like an old-timer and tell me about my almost 10 years career in EASA. First of all, when I arrived, I decided that we should organize every year a safety conference under the auspices of the EU presidency, hence the choice of the EU presidency of today, Czechia. And I think it's a good way of basically having the institutional setup or the institutional part of our life go together with more technical issues. And in the last 10 years, we didn't have conferences during the COVID times, of course, but each and every one of those conferences has been a great success because of this connection between the institutional policy aspects and the technical aspects. So I'm sure that today and tomorrow will be very successful days when we can discuss about those two topics as well. The second thing that I wanted to mention to you, you know, I arrived in September 2013. And when I was briefed by my staff on the new regulations arriving and so on and so forth, my staff told me, you know, the next big regulation or implementing rule that we are going to have adopted in the next months is the airport implementing rule. And my staff told me the rules have been done in partnership with the industry. They are not pushing new standards, so it's actually implementing in the EU framework the ICAO standards. So it's a piece of cake, basically. It will roll out nicely, and you will see it will be a big success. I will remember that forever. Beginning of 2014. I met with the Association of Airports from a big country which is west of the Czechia. I will not name, but you can guess who it is. And for 2 hours, I wished I was in another position, because it was so much and so strong criticisms of our new regulations, of what are you doing, you EASA? You are bureaucrats. You don't understand anything about airport operations. You are imposing us new investments that we had not foreseen. You will be responsible for the bankruptcy of some of our airports, and so on and so forth. I was thinking, my goodness, how is this possible? And then I was invited by Olivier to an ACI board meeting. I don't know if, Javier, you were there already, but it was a bit milder, but it was extremely strong messages against, you know, so-called the EASA bureaucratic stance at things. And we reflected a lot on that. We worked a lot on communication. Olivier, you remember that? Because at the end of the day, what we saw was that it was mostly a problem of interpretation of the regulations. It was a problem of communication. It was a problem of understanding each other between the regulatory world, which has its own jargon, its own way of looking at things, and the more operational world, which is represented by the airport operators. And so 2014, what was the regulation was adopted. And 2018 was the entry into force, which means that by 2018, the civil aviation authorities should have certified the relevant airports. 4 years transition. I was just told this morning that it's the longest transition period that we've ever had in our field. And when you think about it, and that's one of the thoughts that I wanted to share with you, it comes, yes, from the fact that EASA and the EU system was not that well known in the airport world. Yes, that's one thing. But the second thing, and that's something that we need to take into account in all our work today and tomorrow, the second point is that airports are very complex by nature. And it was mentioned by Zdeněk earlier. Airports are at the junction of a number of operators, number of operations, number of pressures. Operators are airport operators, of course, but also air navigation service providers, ground handlers, ground handling service providers, airline operators, and so on and so forth, which have their own constraints and ways on how they want to see the things operate. Airports are the place where you have a lot of local political pressure, national pressure. Airports are very local by nature. And all this needs to be taken into account when we start to think about how we can make it work in a harmonized way across Europe. And I think it's actually one of the most difficult areas for us to work with because of the sheer local nature of airport operations and airport operators. So 2014 was, we were at the, how should I say, at the bottom of the slope. I'm not sure we are at the top of the slope, but we started to develop working together. We tried to communicate on how to implement the rules in a way which is flexible, which was meant to be, and how to work together with the national authorities, EASA, and the airport operators. We also, I think, during COVID in particular, showed to you, the airport community, how much added value we can bring. First of all, when we worked on the health protection protocols, and we worked a lot with Olivier on this, and with a number of airports, and it was a very, very, I think, meaningful and successful partnership, I have to say, which allowed you to start again to travel in 2020, yes, and for the summer 2020. We also supported you, I hope, with our work on the so-called return to normal operations, where we tried to give guidance on how to restart operations for ground handling services, for instance, in 2020, for the restart of operations in 2021, when we had completely new types of issues, safety-related, such as, you know, birds which had nested at airports because there was no traffic anymore, starting again aircraft which had been on the ground without operating, and so on and so forth, and training the personnel. We also, because the startup was okay, and we are very glad that there were no safety issues in the start of operations. But when we saw 2022 in particular, the scope and the fact that indeed, as it was mentioned by Zdeněk, people wanted to travel, and there was a high demand for airport capacity and for air transport. We also wanted to alert all the actors from the risks which were related to this ramp up of aviation activities in 2022, and we organized not only safety information bulletins, but webinars, which I think were very well attended, and which I hope could contribute to have safer operations. We also worked on something which is going to be, that's why I was saying I'm not sure we are at the top of the hill yet. We started to work on ground handling. And this is a topic which is quite challenging because of the different types of stakeholders, different types of interests, and I strongly believe that there is a need for a European level playing field which will clearly allocate responsibilities and tasks to the different actors. So this is an ongoing task, and Edouard, Julia, and their team are working very hard on that. I'm sure we will have a panel dedicated to that, so we will have discussions on that. But let's make it a success, because I believe that it's worth working together and making sure that we have an outcome which is successful for all the stakeholders. We have built the program for this conference in order to be looking at the future and basically trying to learn the lessons that can be learned on typically last summer, what went well, what went less well. We know, and I'm pretty sure that Olivier will mention that, it was a difficult summer for airport operations. There are lessons learned, I'm sure, from that. What can we do together in order to make it better in the future? Because all of us are not only hoping, but we are believing that air transport will continue to grow and will be even at a higher level than pre-COVID. We also are going to look at what new technologies can bring in terms of safety, in terms of digitalization of airport processes. How can we enhance the safety levels on this? We will talk about ground handling, as I mentioned to you before, which I think is a key topic for all of us, and hopefully my successor in EASA won't have to face the difficulties that I had to face when we had the first implementing rules for airports. And we will then talk about the future vertiports, which I think is going to be the next challenge, a new type of intermodality between traditional aviation activities and eVTOLs, urban air taxis, and so on and so forth. That's going to be, I think, quite interesting, and it's very exciting to see where this field is leading us. And finally, last but not least, we'll talk about environment, which I know there are a number of airport operators here in the room today. This is your number one preoccupation, your number one objective, sustainability, and I think given our mandate, which is also to look at sustainability and environment, I think it's a good way to finish up our work together. So I wish all of us a very successful conference. 210 of you today with us, which I think is quite a success. And all the EASA staff is here to listen to you, to answer your questions. Don't ask questions to me because I won't be able to answer, I'm sure, but I'm sure that my staff will be able to answer the difficult technical questions. I wish all of us a very successful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick.